นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนะมัสสามิ Today we've gathered together on the occasion coming up to the beginning of the annual 3 months rains retreat, or Vasa, Kalpansa. So, giving everybody an opportunity to come and practice meditation for a day. Probably an opportunity that's difficult to find in your daily life. We're all so busy. To give up one day to come here, keep the precepts, meditate in a quiet place. We're quite fortunate to have that opportunity, or the opportunity to listen to Dhamma and hear the Buddha's teachings and practice them. It's not something that comes to everybody in this world. Many people don't have such a chance as this. And the idea is we listen to the Dhamma, gives us encouragement, helps us to deepen our understanding, bring up more commitment to the practice. But then we have to take the teachings and go off and apply them in our daily life. A bit like when you go to sea in a boat, everybody gathers on the shore, pushes off the boat in the direction it's going, and we hope it reaches the end of its journey in the right place. So today we're pushing off for 3 months rains retreat. We're hoping at the end of this 3 months rains retreat will be where we want to be in our Dhamma practice. More wise, more peaceful. Because that's why we practice. We've all got some discontent in our lives. We're not yet completely happy. And the Buddhist path gives us some guidance and methods, techniques, how to improve our lives, and particularly how to improve our minds, because the Buddha always pointed out that the mind is the forerunner of everything in our life. All our experiences of happiness and suffering originate in the mind. This is the heart of the Buddhist teaching. And we're learning how to look after this mind, take responsibility for it. I would say, and I think most Buddhists would say, our mind is our most precious resource, the most precious thing we have. And it will determine our experience as a human being, how much we can be happy and peaceful in this life. It depends on our mind. So it's worthwhile looking after the mind, taking care of it. And meditation helps us with that. When we begin meditation, often the first obstacle we encounter is doubt. What should I do? Why should I do this? What am I supposed to be doing? Is it worth it? Sometimes we doubt ourselves, whether we can do this meditation, especially when our minds are not very peaceful yet. Sometimes we doubt the technique or the teacher, especially nowadays. There's many different teachers, different techniques, People come here all the time, they say, oh, this teacher teaches like this, that teacher teaches like that. Should we do more samatha? Should we do more vipassana? Should we follow the breath? Should we do more metta? Many doubts. Ajahn Chah used to say the first thing to do with doubt is know it. Know doubt as doubt. Learn to recognize it. This is doubt. And once you start to recognize it, then you won't follow it so much. You won't get caught up into it so much. Because if you follow doubt, it just leads you around in circles. The Buddha said it's like being lost in the bush. You don't know the way home. You just go around in circles and you get more frustrated, more worried, more unhappy in yourself. Doubt is like that. It just leads us around in circles. So sometimes we have to be firm and just say, I'm going to set aside the doubt. I can't just resolve it by thinking and endlessly doubting and speculating. Sometimes we have to know what we know. There's some things we already know. If we've practiced some meditation already, we might have found some peace with a certain technique, and we know that much, so we can carry on using that technique. There's some things we don't know yet, and we have to accept that. With an open mind, we say, oh, I don't know yet. And what happens when I die? We don't know because we haven't died yet. Is it true, karma, rebirth? We might believe it's true, but we're not absolutely sure yet. Well, that's all right. We can just put it to one side and practice meditation and learn more about ourselves and this mind. So doubt is a very important obstacle to recognize and get through in the beginning of practice. As I said, if you've got a technique you're already using in your meditation, well, keep developing that. If you find using the mantra, Putto, has worked in the past, well, use that, try that. If you use the breath and you found that helpful, use the breath. Or any other technique. The important thing is to really put your heart into it and learn to bring up this quality we call mindfulness, where the mind knows itself and knows the meditation object. So if you're using the breath, we're using this time as we're sitting in the hall to find the feeling of the in and out breath. The tip of our nostrils is a good place to find that feeling. As you breathe in, you know, this is the in-breath, it feels like this. As you breathe out, you know the out-breath, it feels like this. And you don't have to force the breath to be especially long or short, coarse or refined. Just allow it to be natural. Breathe in, you know, at that one point, the tip of the nostril. You breathe out, you know, at that one point, tip of the nostril. The technique is very simple to understand. Just breathe in, breathe out, follow that. The problem is the mind again. Our own mind throws up different thoughts, distractions. It's not yet settled. It's not yet quiet. So we have to practice. That's why we come here today, to practice sitting and walking meditation, to bring up this quality of knowing in the present moment awareness. So we have to be very patient with this restless mind. We have to put effort in. The Buddha's word is virya. There's a famous saying, viryena dukkhamaceti. Means suffering stress will be overcome through effort. So meditation does take effort. We have to put effort into bringing mindful awareness to the breath, learning to let go of distraction. But not only does it take effort, it also takes some wisdom. We have to learn to guide our own mind and have a good attitude to our meditation. We can't expect our mind just to settle down just like that. A few people can. Maybe they've practiced meditation in their last life. They find it easy to get quick results. Most of us are not like that. Most of us have to put effort in and keep practicing patiently. And gradually the mind starts to calm down. And we use wisdom, our own intelligence. We say, all those other things that we want to think about, no need to think about them now. You can give up all your other business for the day. No need to plan what you're going to do tomorrow. No need to worry about what happened yesterday. Most of our distraction is like this. We keep thinking about the future, or else we go back to memories about the past and keep thinking about what we've done, what happened, reliving it. If we think about the future, often it's worry, anxiety about things that might happen. Somebody rang up yesterday. They've got to go overseas with their family. They're wondering whether they should buy separate air tickets for everyone, go on different planes just in case something happens. If the whole world was doing that, no one would get anywhere. We'd all spend our time going at different times, different means of transport. We'd never meet each other at the end. It'd be too complicated. Life is like that. Our mind is like that. We're always worrying about what might happen, the worst that might happen. What if this? What if that? And we'll see this when we meditate. We follow the breath a few moments, breathe in, breathe out. Then all the old karma comes up. We start to worry about different things. So you have to keep reminding yourself. No need to worry. Set it aside. Put it down. Let it go. No need to worry about the past. It's already happened. You can't change that. Just build up this strength of mind, practicing mindfulness, awareness in the present moment, here and now, through focusing on your meditation object. So we begin, we aware of our posture. When we're sitting, we know we're sitting, and we put effort into sitting up straight, finding a comfortable posture that we can maintain for the period of the meditation. If we're walking, we know we're walking. Learn to be aware of your posture, to bring your mind back to the present moment. And then keep putting effort into putting awareness onto the breathing and knowing, is the breath going in? When it's gone in, there's a pause before you breathe out. You know that pause, and you breathe out. There's another pause, and you breathe in again. Keep developing that strength of mindfulness at that point. And keep teaching yourself to let go. You'll see, if you sit for longer periods, if you sit for a whole hour, the first period of that hour, well, there'll be many thoughts coming up. And you have to work quite hard to settle down, to let all these things go. But if you keep putting effort in, and you hold your posture, and you keep returning your attention to the breath, then you might find you get some success, and you start to let go of all the different worries, thoughts. As Ajahn used to say, sometimes it's a bit like when you're family or friends come to visit at home, and there's a big bustle of activity, everyone's talking, meeting each other, exchanging news. But then at the end of the occasion, whatever it is, they all getting ready to go, and then they get in the car, and they all get in the car, and you stand at the gate and you watch them, and off they go. And the car drives off into the distance, and then they're gone, and you're alone. He said meditation is a bit like that. You have all the hustle and bustle of your mind, thinking about work, family, the future, the past. As you keep refining your awareness, coming back to the breath, letting go, it's like all those thoughts get into a car and then they disappear into the distance. Then they're gone. And what's left is just this quality of knowing the mind in the present moment with the breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and you know the mind. Maybe another thought comes up, but because the thoughts are getting less and the less disturbing to you, maybe it doesn't matter now. The thought arises and you can let it go again very easily. So you start to see the impermanence, anicca, of your own thoughts, your own memories. And they come and they go, come into the mind and they go away again. And they don't bother you so much. You start to feel free. And with that freedom you feel more relaxed, more happy. And you know yourself, you know this body as you're sitting there, you know the mind, you know the feeling of the in-breath, the out-breath. So you feel very relaxed. Once you start to experience this, then you can refine your awareness. And every little sensation, you just let go of it. So sensations, feelings around the body. Maybe you have a little bit of pain or an itch. You note it, but then you let it go and return to the breath. Or a thought comes up, you note it, you let it go, you return to the breath. And you keep practicing like this until the mindfulness gets more and more continuous. You become more interested and absorbed in the breathing and the feeling and letting go of all the distractions. This comes through gradually practicing, putting effort into your meditation. And you might find you can keep your attention with the breath at the tip of the nostrils, and the feeling of the breath becomes very, very refined, very subtle, very quiet. You might still feel a few sensations in your body, you might hear a sound, but the mind is just focused on the breath now. So more and more it lets go of all these other things. It gets to the point where the movement of the breath becomes very, very subtle. You can just detect a very slight movement in, slight movement out of the breathing. The body feels relaxed, calm. Sometimes we have piti arising. Piti means like rapture, so sometimes people get goosebumps or they get tears forming in their eyes. Sometimes waves of rapture, sometimes they feel like their body is floating. They can't actually feel the heaviness of the body anymore. Because the mind is with itself, using the breath as the object, the mind just becomes quiet in itself with the breath. So even the heaviness of the body disappears. The sense of the body disappears. All that's left is this knowing, this quality of the knowing. Many people find the mind becomes very bright at that point. Bright, like somebody turned a light on inside your mind. It's no longer the brightness of the sun or the light outside. Even if you are sitting in a dark room, your mind is bright, very light, radiant. You don't have to think about these different experiences that you might be having. If you have experience of rapture or the mind becomes very bright inside, you just note it. Keep returning to the feeling of the in-breath, the out-breath, until gradually the mind and the breath become one. And then the feeling of the in and out breath has disappeared altogether, and you're just knowing. It seems like the breath has disappeared, it's gone. Sometimes then people get worried again. They say, oh, I can't feel my body, I can't feel the breath. What will happen? They get worried, maybe they'll just float away and never come back. Or maybe they're worried that they can't feel the in-breath, the out-breath. Maybe they'll stop breathing and just die. Or maybe their thoughts have stopped. There's no more thinking about the usual things. And they're not used to that, so they get worried. All of these experiences are very normal in meditation when the mind becomes peaceful. You don't have to worry. There's no danger. There's no chance of you floating away into space and never coming back. It's never happened. You're just seeing your own worries. Your own mind is worried and perhaps afraid because it's an unusual or new experience. If you really are that worried, all you need to do is open your eyes and you'll see, oh, you're still sitting here in the hall. So keep refining your awareness on the breathing, breathing in, breathing out. Get to the point where the mind is, we say, one-pointed. It's in one place. It's not distracted. It's not worried. It's not asleep. So we're not sleeping and dreaming either. It's just knowing itself. And if the breath seems to have disappeared, then you know, no, now the breath has disappeared. And you keep your awareness at that point where it disappears. Ajahn Chah said, this is the reason we practice this is so that we can start to see our own body and mind, we say, in a detached way, unbiased way. Normally, we're attached to this body and mind with a sense of self, ego. So we have a thought arise and we say, oh, this is a good thought, I like this. Or another kind of thought comes up, we say, oh, I don't like this. We're always judging ourselves, judging our mind. Sometimes we're just not clear on things, we get very confused, deluded. But now when we practice meditation like this, our mind becomes very calm, peaceful. We can see the true nature of this mind, this body. We can see thoughts are impermanent, anicca. They arise, they pass away. Memories, impermanent. They arise, they pass away, they change. This gives us a new kind of knowledge, what we call panya or vipassana, insight. We're seeing the impermanent nature of this mind, of our thoughts, our feelings, some pain, some pleasure. But the mind that sees this, the mind that knows this is the mind of wisdom, understanding. It allows us to accept the truth. We can accept the truth that this body is impermanent. It's changing all the time. That's its nature. We have the four elements that come together: earth, air, fire and water. The solid part, the liquid part, the air part, the temperature. They come together and we call it a body, human body. We give it a name, a label. But these labels are just superficial things. that we use for convenience, for language, for communication. But actually we're noticing it's just natural phenomena. Earth, air, fire and water. What we call Dhatu or Mahadhatu. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, the Buddha's words. Just come together, make a body through food and breathing and drinking. But it's always changing. Growing up, aging, cells always being born and dying. Because it's always changing, it doesn't last. We can't say that it's anything solid or that we can really call ourself, because it's always changing. And when you're peaceful, just contemplate your own body. Look at it in your mind, with your mind. How many times since you were born have you cut your hair? Or the barber, hairdressers cut your hair? We say hair is not self. Every few weeks we cut our nails. Our nails grow, we cut them. Our skin is always flaking off. We're always eating. Then we go to the toilet after we've eaten, urinate, excrete. The body is changing all the time. When we're peaceful, mindful, we can contemplate this. Oh, the body is changing, it's not self. It's the mind that knows this. The mind that sees anicca, dukkha, anatta. Even these labels, the Buddha said, really the body is not self or not self. These are just labels we use to help teach. We say it's atta or anatta. This is just language. The body is just nature. Feelings are just nature. Thoughts, memories are just nature. It's the nature of the mind to remember. It can think, it can remember. There's this other part of the mind, the wisdom, the understanding that grows through Dhamma practice, through meditation, that helps us to understand things better. We can see things are changing, impermanent. What's impermanent, it doesn't last, we have to let go of. We're starting to see that in our meditation, so we can accept truth. We get older every day, we have some pleasure, some pain, different experiences. That's the nature of life. So today we're learning to put effort into our meditation. Sitting meditation, you can use your usual meditation object or follow the breathing. If you're new to meditation, then try and follow the feeling of the in-breath, the out-breath, the tip of the nostrils. We can sit together for a little bit longer, and then at 9:30 there'll be a period, half an hour, walking meditation. In the walking meditation, the same. Practice mindfulness in the posture of walking. Find a spot to walk up and down, 10, 15 meters. Concentrate on the feeling of your feet touching the ground as you walk. Try not to let your mind get distracted, going off to the future, the past, looking at other people. So for a meditation day like this, we learn to practice mindfulness in all postures. Standing, walking, sitting. But we don't allow lying down, not today. You can lie down when you get home. 3 postures. Even when you go down, have food, be mindful of the food. Taking enough food just for how much you need. Tasting the food, chewing the food. When you go to the toilet, when you clean up, do whatever you're doing, try to maintain the mindfulness. Observe your thoughts arising, passing away. Sensations, feelings, pleasure, pain. This is how we practice in the monastery. Ajahn Chah used to say, make everything you do part of the practice. Practice is not just reading a Dhamma book or sitting meditation with your eyes closed. It's also doing all these other things, eating, bathing, cleaning up, going here, going there. Try and maintain the mindfulness in all postures. So, we've got 15 minutes left. I'll stop talking for now, and we can just sit quietly together, practice a bit more breathing meditation till you hear the bell.